Are you being crushed by student loan debt? I know most of you are. But in this video, I'm going to teach you how you may qualify to discharge your federal student loan due to a disability. Let's get into it. My name is Javier Diaz, and I'm a certified financial planner, and I'm passionate about teaching people just like you about personal finance so that you can live a more prosperous and generous life. With the U.S. Department of Education, there is a program that would allow you to discharge your debt if you are disabled. The program is called Total and Permanent Disability Discharge, or also referred to as TPD Discharge for short. What is TPD Discharge? Again, this will alleviate or relieve you of your obligation to repay all of your student loan, your federal student loans, and also if you have a service obligation for a teach grant, this will relieve you of that as well. Again, this is only for federal student loans. This includes federal direct loans, federal family education loans, federal Perkins loans, and teach grant service obligations. So if you have any private loans, this program does not apply to you. If you have any federal student loans, which most of you may already know are almost impossible to get rid of, not even through bankruptcy. But again, if you are disabled or become disabled in the future, this program can help you alleviate that burden. So who is eligible for a TPD discharge? Any person who is unable to engage in substantial gainful activity due to a physical or mental impairment that is expected to result in death or has lasted for a month, which is 5 years, or is expected to last for a continuous period of 60 months. How do you apply for a TPD? Now, if you are already receiving Social Security disability, you may have in the recent years received a notice from the Department of Education letting you know that you may qualify for a TPD discharge, as Social Security has been providing this information to the Department of Education. But if you haven't received this notice, or let's say you are just starting the process of applying for disability benefits through Social Security, you can proactively start the application process for the TPD discharge on your own. Then that way you get the ball rolling, because of course you are dealing with the U.S. Department of Education, a federal agency, and if you dealt with them at all in the past regarding your student loans, it can take a while. So the sooner you start, the better. I have a question for those of you who may have already done or gone through the process of a TPD discharge. Please, in the comments below, let everyone else know, how long did it take for you? What was your experience like dealing with the Department of Education in regards to a TPD discharge? We would appreciate your opinion on it. So to apply for a TPD discharge, you would go to the website disabilitydischarge.com. This website is operated by a company called Nelnet, which helps the Department of Education administer the program. So once you're on the website, again, disabilitydischarge.com, you will find a application wizard. When you start the application wizard is going to ask you for your basic information, your name, date of birth, social security number, your address, etc. Just basically your basic demographic information. At this point, you don't need to worry about looking around for your student loan account numbers, etc. You just provide them with that information because, again, this application is going to go to the Department of Education, which has all of your information on file anyway. So you don't need to provide any specific loan information, just your personal identifiable information. Once you complete the application wizard, you will be able to print your application because you do not submit your application through the website. It's just a way to pre-fill the application with your information. At the end, again, you will print it and make sure you sign or have your representative sign Section 3. And then the only other part of the application that you need to worry about is your documentation to substantiate your disability. So there's 3 categories of documentation that you can use, basically. The first one is VA documentation. So if you're a veteran and you were determined to have a service-related disability and you're unemployable, according to the VA, you can attach that documentation along with your application. Or if you are already receiving Social Security Disability Insurance benefits or SSI, you would attach your award notice along with the application as well. And if none of those 2 apply to you, then you can have your, and again, like I said before, if you're just starting the application process with Social Security, you can have, and you haven't received a determination yet, an award notice yet, you can have your physician go ahead and certify your disability. And in that case, you would have them fill out Section 4 of the application. So once you have your documentation together, you sign your application, you would submit it to the Department of Education, which you will find instructions on how to do so on the application itself. You can mail it in, fax it in, and even email it in. And again, that information will be on the application. If you do get approved for the TPD discharge, where you no longer have to repay the debt, there may be some tax consequences. Whenever you have any debt, including student loans, canceled or forgiven, you will receive IRS Form 1099-C. Now, what may result is the amount of the student loan that was discharged, that amount may be considered as taxable income in the year that it was canceled. For example, if you have $100,000 of student loan that is discharged in the year that it was discharged, you may have to recognize $100,000 of additional taxable income on your tax return for that year. Now, you may say, well, if you have that amount canceled, let's say just for round numbers, you are now owed $25,000 in taxes that year for the amount that was canceled. Well, $25,000 is a lower amount than the $100,000 of original debt, but keep in mind that you have less options for paying that IRS bill in relative to the student loan. So again, it will be a lower amount you will owe relative to what you owed before, but again, your options are far fewer on how to repay it and how soon you need to repay your IRS bill. Now, there is one exclusion that you may qualify for, where if you were insolvent immediately before the debt was canceled, then you do not have to recognize that debt as taxable income within that year. basically insolvency, what that means is your liabilities or what you owe is far greater than what you own. You have more liabilities relative to your assets. You would want to please consult with your tax advisor when going through this process. Very important. After you're approved for the discharge, your loans, again, you will be alleviated from repaying them back or having to fulfill your Teach Grant service obligation, but your loans can be reinstated, okay? And also your service obligation for the Teach Grant can be reinstated if you do not follow the guidelines of the 3-year monitoring period. The 3-year monitoring period begins on the date that your discharge was approved. Now, one note is that if you do receive a TPD discharge based off your VA determination of unemployability due to a service-related disability, the rules of the 3-year monitoring period do not apply to you. So the 3-year monitoring period only applies to those who fall in the category of being approved because of their Social Security disability status and or their physician certifying their disability. So again, if you fall into those two categories and not under the VA, you have to meet the requirements of the 3-year monitoring period to avoid your student loans being reinstated. Within the 3-year monitoring period, you cannot have annual employment earnings in excess of the federal poverty guideline for a household of 2 within your state. And this is regardless of your actual household size. So you may be a household of 4, you still cannot exceed the guideline for a household of 2. Very important to keep that in mind. And for 2019, the guideline for a household of 2 in the lower 48 states and Washington, D.C. is $16,910. So you cannot have earnings above that amount, or your loans can be reinstated within the 3-year monitoring period. Also, your loans can be reinstated if you receive a new federal student loan. Okay, that includes direct loans, Perkins loans, or a new Teach Grant. So if you go back to school within that period to kind of rehabilitate or reskill yourself, make sure you do not take out any new student loans, or the debt that was canceled will be reinstated. Also, if you happen to receive a disbursement of a student loan that you received right before your discharge was approved, you need to make sure that you return all of those funds within 120 days, or all of your student loans that were canceled will be reinstated. So keep these rules in mind. Once you pass the 3-year period, then you can kind of take the step forward. In the future, if you would like me to cover any other specific topic in personal finance, please leave that in the comment section below so I can make a video in depth about it. Or if you have a specific question about student loans or the TPD program itself, leave those in the comment section below so I can answer them as well. Again, my name is Javier Diaz. If you find any value in this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing and ringing the bell so that you don't miss any future videos. Until the next one, take care.